They're synced with GitHub, and we've all run yarn start or npm start successfully, have the server running. So create React app, besides adding a whole bunch of files, also installed a bunch of dependencies. To date, we have added dependencies a couple of different ways because we've been using them from the beginning. In other words, our code relies on code that somebody else wrote, right? We've been using Foundation, which we didn't make. We've been using Font Awesome. We've used some Google fonts, etc. Those are dependencies of our projects. Our projects won't work without them. So we've added those to our projects a couple different ways. We started out by just copying URLs from CDNs and adding links in our head and stuff like that, or script tags at the bottom. Then for Font Awesome, we actually downloaded the whole thing, unzipped it, and placed it in our directory so it was actually part of our project. So now we're going to be using a package manager. That's what npm and yarn are. And it's going to do that for us, because while downloading Font Awesome, unzipping it, and putting it in place, that was still a little annoying. But if you open this thing up, what it does is it stores the names of all your dependencies in package.json. And by the way, if you try to run yarn install or npm install with no additional arguments in a directory that does not have a package.json, it will not work. So if you've tried to do that and nothing happened, that's why. Because what those commands do is look at package.json, find these dependencies, download them, and put them in the node modules directory. And as you can see, there's a lot here. And I, for one, am thankful that we did not have to download all of these things and figure out where to put them ourselves. Heck, we didn't even have to copy that many CDN links either. We just ran npm install or yarn install or create React app, and it did it for us. So again, these dependencies, he mentioned this yesterday, some of these dependencies have dependencies of their own. And it just handles all of that stuff and figures out the right versions to use to keep everything running smoothly. So we're very happy to have package management going on this. So we have the node modules folder, and that's what that is. And that is listed in our git ignore and is not actually in our repository. If you look out here, node modules isn't there. Because it doesn't need to be, we have package.json that lists all of those things. And so someone who clones your repository, as long as they run npm install, they have all that stuff too. It's going to create the node modules directory for them and keep our repository size relatively small. So we have a public directory that's got an index and a couple other files. We've got the source directory where all of our JavaScript and CSS live. So that public folder contains stuff that the web browser can actually deal with, stuff that's actually going to get sent to them, like index.html. But this stuff isn't going to get sent as is to the browser. Now, the web server is taking care of this invisibly for us. We don't need to worry about the fact that it's doing something under the hood. But when we run yarn start or npm start, it's taking those files, smashing them all together, making them as small as possible, and then sending it to the browser. But we don't even have to worry about it. It just takes care of it for us. So that's why there's a whole separate directory structure for that. And because we're doing that pre-processing, that also lets us use JSX, which again, browsers don't understand, and things like that. So more on that as we go along. Let's take a quick look at index.html. It should have a title in there of React app. Let's change that to note herder. Let's take a quick look at app.js. By the way, I think I've mentioned it at some point in the last couple of weeks. But to switch to files quickly, you can also press Command P or Control P and just type any part of the file name. And you can get there really, really quickly without ever taking your fingers off the keyboard and hunting around the sidebar with your mouse. Much faster. darn it. Apple TV, I see that. Thank you. Okay. I'm just going to take a couple things out of here real quick. Let's get rid of everything that's inside this div and just put note herder here just to test it. And then I'm going to remove this import that we don't need, import logo from logo SVG. That's that rotating atomic symbol. That's not part of our app. So I'll backspace over that. Then I'm actually going to get rid of that SVG file. So if you look in your sidebar, you see logo.svg. Just right click that and delete it. Doesn't need to be taking up space in our repository. Now if all is well, and you go back to your browser, you should just see note herder on the page, right? Hopefully not an error. Okay. Did everybody download Note Static a few minutes ago? Go ahead and open your note herder directory now in Finder or Explorer, as the case may be. And we're going to drag some of these over there. These are all static files, so they're going to go in this public directory. So in the public directory, a note herder, drag all of these files from Note Static. I'm going to copy them instead of move them. Not that it makes much difference because you're not going to be using Note Static again. And we're just going to copy them right over there. You will get messages that a couple of these files already exist. favicon.ico will already exist. Go ahead and replace it. Manifest.json will already exist. Go ahead and replace that. Yeah, Kyle. No. So now I got a bunch of new files. So go ahead and open that static.html encode for reference. And in the head section of static.html, see these lines right here, from Apple Touch icon to theme color. We want those back in index.html. We're going to have to change them a little bit. I will copy and paste exactly what you need into Slack here in a minute. So if you just want to watch while I do this, it gets a little messy. So I'm just going to copy these lines. These are all related to the fav icon because I want a custom icon. And by golly, I want that custom icon to show up even if you save it to your home screen on Apple or Android, even if you save it in a Windows Metro type environment. I want my fancy icon. So this does that for us. So out of static HTML, in the head of index.html, here we've already got a theme color line, so I'm going to get rid of that. Already got a manifest.json, but actually I like their version better, so I'm going to leave it. And then I'm going to paste ours right under here. So I'll take out this manifest.json line. Notice these start with %public URL /. And this comment underneath here tells us that that will be replaced by whatever the URL is of our app, which may or may not be at / the document root of our web server. So I'm going to copy public URL to the clipboard. I'm going to get fancy here. I'm putting my cursor there in front of that /. Then I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm going to put my cursor here, and I'm going to hold down Alt, and I put my cursor here, hold down Alt, and I put my cursor here. And then I paste in all places at once. And behold, I had to do a shift refresh, but look at that. Oh yeah, no more generic React icon. I got a fancy little quill. Right. So all we did was change the title in index.html and add the favicon. So I'm going to go ahead and commit that, and I'm going to commit it right from VS Code. Change title and add fav icons. And push it.